Okay, but let's get started. So today we're going to be visiting Anisha in India. Some of you may already be familiar with this project. So Anisha is a rural development project which works with small-scale farmers and landless families. Anisha teaches organic farming and permaculture and has encouraged families to create their own kitchen gardens by going into schools, and has established its own seed bank with native varieties. So these are all strategies that help increase household food security among poor rural families. I'm sorry, but somebody is making quite a lot of noise. I'm going to mute you because there's some background noise. Okay, that should be better. So the visit will have 4 parts. So I'm telling you this because you are going to be able to ask questions and make comments, but I'm just going to tell you what order we're going to look at things so that you're not asking questions about something we're going to cover in a different part, if you see what I mean. So I'll explain the different sections so you'll know what's coming up. With us, we have Valli Rajan, who's the founder of Anisha, who founded the project by beginning to work in the slums of Bangalore in 1995. And we also have Rajan, her husband, who is also who works with Anisha. Valli will tell me what exactly his role is in the project. So in the first part of the visit, Valli is going to begin by describing how and why she began this work in Bangalore. In the second part of the visit, we'll find out about how Anisha started its organic farming work with farmers in Martalli. And forgive me, Valli, if I'm pronouncing things wrong. This is a part of the world I've never visited, so I don't have a kind of first-hand knowledge of this. Part 3 looks at Anisha's recent work, so a multi-year project called the School Kitchen Gardens Project. So that's in part 3. And in part 4, we'll be looking at Anisha's most recent work during the pandemic, including its relief work with families who were struggling. So thanks once again for Valli and Rajan for being here, and thanks in advance to our interpreters. So we have Margarita and Miranda. Miranda, I will add you to the channel in a moment. And thanks once again to Zafira, who's helped me get together the material for this session. So we're going to begin. I'm going to hand over to Valli, and we have a PowerPoint presentation for the first part, which talks about the origins of Anisha quite briefly. And then you'll have a chance to ask questions about that part of the presentation, or we'll just carry on and go on to look at the other parts, which is organic farming, kitchen gardens, and then activities during the pandemic, and kind of an update as to what's going on now. So, Valli.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So, Anisha started. Solon, can you just show the slide?
Okay, just give me a second. There's a lot going on.
Anisha started in the year 1995, and as you all know, it was formally registered in 1999. So we started our work with the street families and slum people living in the central city of Bangalore. So we worked in small slums, mainly to uplift the women and children from the poorest families, because the street families and the families who were living on the top of the shops, at any time they are vacated and they use the ladder, you can see. So with these families, we started our initial work, like pre-primary classes for 3 to 6 years old, and school-going children supplementary class, and also women's self-help groups and health issues. So Anisha actually started with these families. This is the first stage. So some of our brothers and sisters have visited this place also. Solon, next.
Valli, just before I go on to the next slide, could I ask you to talk slowly, because we have interpretation going on, and also some people listening, English is not their first language. So if we can just talk slowly and clearly, thank you.
Okay. actually the families who were living on the streets, so these families were working as hawkers in central city market, and loaders, unloaders. So these families they don't have any regular income or regular place to stay. So on temporarily with the help of the shopkeepers, so they stay on the top of the shops, and like before 9 o'clock they have to finish all their work and get down from the terrace. And only evening after 9 o'clock, when the shops are closed, these families will go back to their house and do all type of cooking, like whatever. And the whole day they stay in the streets. And also the families who are living in the streets, they keep one small box and everything is kept on that. So that is their house. So we started with these families. Next slide. Okay. So the families were working in the central city market, so like daily. And when they work, when they are hawking, like they spend a lot of money. Whatever income they earn, 50% goes for the expense. And apart from that, they have to pay bribe for the police and the city corporations, because of that small place which they are using for hawking. For that also they have to pay money, illegally paying money to the officials, which is unaccountable. And the place where they are living, no, there is no water facilities or nothing. They use the public toilets, like that. So we started the work with these type of hawking families. So like mainly our beneficiaries are the poorest families. Like they don't do any cooking at home, because from morning till evening they're hawking, and everything they buy from the hotel or the street food vendors. From there they buy and eat. And our target was like elderly persons and women headed families and single persons who are living with the children and large families. They were our target families. And we mainly concentrated on KR market, that is the central city of Bangalore. So people from all over the parts, they come to central city of market, and they work and earn. So Vandi Mode is a small slum which is located behind the shops, and also Ganesha Gudi is the small slums. So with these type of families we were working. Yeah. Next slide. So this is our pre-primary class, children with age group of 3 to 6 years. Basically, the idea was when the parents go for hawking or for the work, these kids were just roaming on the streets, and many accidents took place. So then we thought, okay, why can't we start the nursery, like pre-primary class for the small kids? So that's how we started, but we didn't have place to start. So in a small slum there was some vacant place, so we had very tough time to get that place. And we collected all the old and recycled materials wherever the demolitions takes place. We collected old bricks, like everything, and we built this small classroom. And this was our classroom for pre-primary, and also to conduct women's meeting and for the supplementary class. And this was like the actually before this place was like children used to sit, we put a small brick, and on that we used to sit and take class. During rainy season water logging was there, so there was no current, nothing. So before the construction of this room, we were where the students and everyone was sitting down, and it was a very tough time before the construction. Yeah. Next slide. And when the children from 3 to 6 years, uh, until they are in our pre-primary class, after that we admitted those children to regular formal schools. Like some students, they were going for the government school, and in government school, like due to lack of facilities, many dropouts were there. So we thought, okay, why can't we try for the private schools so that they will continue the education. So that was our idea, and we sponsored and we put the students in the private schools. And the students, you can see, they're very happy because with all the uniforms, tie, shoes, socks, everything, no, so they were very eager to go to school. Because in government schools, like even without shoes also they'll go, no proper uniforms like that. And these children, they were very irregular also to the schools. So once they passed out from our pre-primary class, they went for the
Oh, we seem to have temporarily lost Valli.
primary class, and they went for the formal schools for the kids so that they'll continue. Next slide. Yeah, this photo is our supplementary class students. Hmm? This is from supplementary class. So you can see the classroom is full crowd because it's just 10 by, not even 10 by 10, the classroom. So it was like 136 children used to attend our class. Like every day evening, 4 to 4:30 they come back from the school. So 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 2 hours we used to take supplementary classes, like giving tuitions for those children because the parents are not educated. This is the first generation school going children. So that's where like special coaching class was given for them. And also there is no recreation or nothing was there in that slums. So we created like recreation or sports, and also we took them for the exposure tours, all that. So all the children who are admitted in the schools, everyone was, every year they were passing out. And we found there is no dropouts with these students. Yeah, next slide. So along with that, like child labor was more before our interventions. So after our interventions, all the child labors, we gave bridge course coaching classes, and we put them back to the schools. So 26 children were back to the schools during that time. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, this is our children's exposure. Actually, this was organized on the day of Bopak's birthday. So like we were just thinking, okay, what to do? And we thought, okay, instead of we going and celebrating individually, we thought, let we celebrate with the children. So we took all the children to the national park, and we celebrated. So still that remembrance is there. Yeah, next photo. Yeah, and also we did children's savings with these families. Like children used to save weekly 2 rupees. Whatever money they are getting from their parents to just eat like snacks or whatever. So they were just wasting money and eating a lot of junk foods. So we created like, if you save 2 rupees weekly, and Anisha will contribute 2 rupees to their account. So that's how we created the habit of savings even with the street children. Next. Yeah, this is micro, like women's self-help groups. And in central city market, the private financer was playing a major role because they were collecting like monthly interest, weekly interest, and daily interest. If we take 100 rupees morning, evening we have to pay extra 20 rupees. So 120 rupees we have to pay. So per day like 20 rupees. So whatever income they are getting, more income goes for this interest. So we thought, okay, if they have the self like group savings, if they want any loan, they can take from the group. So that's how the self-help groups was organized, and they were running on their own group. Yeah, next. Yes, here you can see the physical improvements like before our intervention and after our intervention. Like before intervention, there is no payment and there is no water connection, no current, and there is no community hall, the classrooms. So you can see the left photo. And after our interventions, the pathway was concrete with the cement concrete we have put with the help of the local politicians, and the drinking water connection was given to this slum. And also the classroom was constructed, that is in the corner side, you can see the door. And also they got the electricity connections. So apart from educations and the women programs, we also did some of the physical changes in the small slums. So this we can compare like before and after our intervention. So the next, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's the end. Thank you.
Actually, this is our urban project. We worked from 95 till 2008. So when we were working in the urban, like everybody, like most of the hawkers whom we met, they are migrated from the rural part. So we were part of the small research study, and we started with the other group. And when we came to know all these families are migrated from different parts of the states. So then we visited back to the village from where they came. So we found that they were telling like agriculture is not profitable one. Like whatever they invest, they are not getting back. So that is why they are migrating to the city. So then we thought, okay, instead of like working in the urban, like why can't we address the root cause of the migration? So that's the idea how we, along with the urban, we started the rural project.
Thank you, Valli. Okay, so we've had a look at how the project started and also the reasons why then Valli and Rajan started working in the rural areas rather and moving out of the cities to prevent this migration from the countryside to the city. So people were escaping from poverty in the countryside and moving to the city and then finding themselves probably in worse poverty in the city. Would you say that was accurate, Valli? So people were moving from a bad situation in rural areas and then moving to a worse situation in the city, in fact.
And yeah, many Subud brothers and sisters visited this urban project. And our first article of Anisha was written by Hilal. So I'm very grateful to Hilal. And also our first grant from Sushila Dharma is from Blonde Trust.
Yes, so, and we have Lusana with us and we have Hilal as well.
Yeah, Lusana
yes.
Blonde.
Very nice.
So they supported for education. So that's how we started. Yeah.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions about this particular part of I mean, this is Anisha's history that we've just kind of given a very quick overview of, and we're going to get more into the later work now. But if anybody has any questions about that first part, please put your hand up either physically or preferably with the virtual hand, and I'll see if I can see who. Okay, well, I can't see anyone, so we're gonna carry on, and there will be opportunities to ask questions at the end and after each part. Valli, could I ask you next time when you're speaking to switch the music off in the background, because I think that was interfering with I think you have some music on in the background. Oh, yeah, you did. And that was
no, it's not in this place actually.
Oh, it's the neighbors. Okay.
So I can't, some festival is
you
there.
Can't. Oh, right. Yeah, you can't really
now
control that.
Hear the church bell also.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Never mind. Okay, so we're going to get into the next part. Zafira, could I ask you to put on the video. I'm also just going to take a couple of seconds because I need to add another interpreter. Where's my interpretation? I'm going to add another interpreter so that we're going to have two people interpreting for the Spanish speakers. Thank you, Miranda. Spanish, English. Okay. I think that's good. Okay, so we're ready now. Valli, I'm going to ask you to put yourself on mute while we play the video, although Zafari, you're going to put the sound on so that we get the sound through the Zoom call.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Oh, this video is about 20 minutes long, by the way, just to let everybody know.
In the border area of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, around 200 kilometers from Bangalore, on the foothills of the holy shrine Male Mahadeshwara Temple Hills. Martalli, surrounded by mountains and forests. The area is stuck in drought and cursed by nature.
ಈ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯ ರೇನ್ ಶಾಡೋ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಉತ್ತರಕ್ಕೆ ದಕ್ಷಿಣಕ್ಕೆ ಪೂರ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಪಶ್ಚಿಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮಳೆ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ ಆದರೆ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಳೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ.
In general, Chamarajanagar as a whole is a drought prone area, and the place called Martalli is again very close to Tamil Nadu border. Till then here in few pockets there were some tribal people. Now they are called as Lingaites, but they are not Lingaites, they are actually Bed Kampanas. So they were living in some pockets like Kadambur and Sulwadi, another place now that is in the forest called Mornur. So in all these places some tribals were there.
Villagers at the foothills were happy with the little farming activities in the area. As the area receives minimal rainfall, the flow of water from the mountains was sufficient to fill the ponds and wells.
These main people who are now in Martalli area now, they were all in some Tamil Nadu villages which comes under now Mettu Dam construction area.
Natives from the backwaters of Tamil Nadu were evacuated to construct the Mettu Dam.
Actually, this place was forest when they came here. Then they cleared the forest and started the cultivation.
சராசரியா கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 30 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி எங்களுக்கு ஒரு வெளிநாட்டுல ஒரு ஃபாதர் வந்தாரு. அந்த ஃபாதர் வந்து கோடஸ்ட் அப்படின்ட்டு அவர் தான் எங்களுக்கு இந்த மக்காசோள விவசாயத்தையே கொண்டு கொடுத்தவர்.
When they started buying this Makkajola, the company people themselves came here and introduced to this, if you apply this, you will get more.
மண் வந்து கரண்ட் மோட்டர் புதுசு, நல்லா மழை இருந்துச்சு, கிணத்துல தண்ணி நிறைய இருந்துச்சு, கிணறு தண்ணி. இப்போ போர் யாரும் இல்லை. அப்ப
then with the introduction of this electricity, then pump sets, I think they had more water consumption, and gradually the water level went down in the wells.
அது அப்படியே போக 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 நாள் படையில் என்ன ஆயிப்போச்சு, யூரியா ஜாஸ்தி கொடுத்தா தான் எல்லாம் வருன்ற அளவுக்கு ஆயிப்போச்சு. மண்ணினுடைய சத்து கெட்டு பூரா எல்லாமே கெட்டு போச்சு. அன்னைக்கு வந்து விதை சோளம் வந்து அன்னைக்கு 400 ரூபா, என்கிட்ட மூட்டை 200 ரூபா, ஒரு குண்டால் 200 ரூபா நாங்க வைக்கிறது, அவங்கிட்ட 5 கேஜி 400 ரூபா.
Then slowly people started going for higher studies, which meant more expenditure. Then they needed more income. Then this fertilizers applications and all gave them more production also. Then they used to sell and get money. So then they sort of indirectly forced to apply all these, though they knew the bad effect of that. They got more crop but their investment on the land increased. Slowly, then they started realizing we produced more, but what did we have finally?
அவர் கிட்டத்தட்ட எங்க ஊர்ல 30-40 வருஷம் இருந்தாரு. அந்த 40 வருஷத்துக்குள்ள எவ்வளவு கொடுக்கணும் அவ்வளவு கொடுத்த எல்லாத்துக்கும் பழக்கப்படுத்திட்டாரு.
78, in the 80s, all these hills had rich amount of black stone granite. Some outsiders came and had this. Slowly, these people who were agricultural laborers.
When blackstone granite quarrying began in the area, agricultural laborers migrated to work with the companies. Farmers with less agricultural income were left with no option but to work on quarry sites.
ಸುಮಾರು 90ರ ದಶಕದ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ವಳ್ಳಿ ರಾಜನ್ನು ಈ ಬಾಲ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ.
ಜನಗಳು ಯಾಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮೈಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ
Once the reason was known, in 2004, Rajan, along with his friend Valli, an NGO activist, started working with the migrants in and around market area and initiated a campaign to curb migration, with Martalli being the center of action.
ಸುಮಾರು 2004 ನಂತರ ಅವರು ಮಾರ್ಟಳ್ಳಿ ಪಂಚಾಯತಿಯನ್ನು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು 20-25 ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಸಣ್ಣ ಹಿಡುವಳಿಕಾರರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು.
First, they started awareness building among the farmers.
They visited around 25 villages in the area with Vaso and began educating farmers on various methods of natural and organic farming.
ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಶಾ ತಂಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮನವೊಲಿಸುವಂತ ದೃಷ್ಟಿ ಬಹಳ ಕಷ್ಟಕರ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು.
Gradually, we conducted orientations and trainings at the village level and explained about organic farming and its importance,
and made them understand that they have already spoiled their soil, that they have to come out of it.
ஆனா அனிஷா வந்த பின்னாடி எங்களுக்கு வெளியில இருந்து கொண்டு ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்தாங்க.
ರಾಗಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು, ಜ್ವಾಳ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು, ನಾವು ಕೆಲವು ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟ ಬೆಳೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಬೆಳೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಬೆಳಿತಾರೆ ಆ ಬೆಳೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿನ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದ್ವಿ.
We motivated the farmers to do in a small portion of the land and do trials. If they are satisfied with organic farming, and they can convert to organic farming. So both chemical farming and organic farming was done side by side to do a comparative study by the farmers.
ಇದೇನಪ್ಪ ಒಂದು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ ಜಮೀನು, ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಬೆಳೆತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ, ಇಷ್ಟುದೇ ಬರುವುದು, ಇನ್ನು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನಾವು ಬರೀ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಹಾಕಿ ಬೆಳೆ ಬೆಳೆದಿ ನಾವು ತಿನ್ನೋಕಾದತ್ತ ಹಂಗಿಂದು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ದ.
ಮೊಟ್ಟ ಮೊದಲು ಒಲ್ಲದ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಿಂದ ಅವರು ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯೋಗಕ್ಕೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಮಾಡದಂತ ಪ್ರಯೋಗಗಳು ನಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಆಯ್ತು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಹೌದು ಇದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಆಗ ನಾವು ಅನಿಶಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರು ಊರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಹಾಯ ಆಯ್ತು.
And many of the farmers were convinced, which Anisha supported, and regular monitoring and guidance, all these helped few farmers and at least believe that we should come out of this.
ಅರ್ಶಿನ ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡ್ದೋ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆ ಬಂತು, ತೂಕನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಂತು, ಖರ್ಚು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಬಂತು.
ಇದು ಆವರ್ದಲ್ಲ நல்லா வருது, நல்லா நாங்க சாப்பிடுறோம்.
ಅರ್ಶಿನ ಹಾಕಿದೀವಿ ಒಂದು ಕಾಲ ಎಕರೆಕ ಸೂಪರ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಂತು.
At the end of the harvest period, farmers expressed organic farming is more profitable, very less expense. So that's how in the initial stage we started the work.
ಆಮ್ಯಾಕ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಒಂದ್ ವರ್ಷ ಬೆಳೆ ನರ್ತು, 2ನೇ ವರ್ಷವಲ್ಲ ನೀನ್ ಅದು ತಾಕ್ಸ್ತೇ ಇರು, அஞ்சு ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ರೆ அது ಬೆಳೆ தேச.
ஆனா ஆரம்பத்துல கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டமா தான் தெரிஞ்சவங்க செய்யறதுக்கு. இப்ப போக போக 3 வருஷம் 4 வருஷம் ஆகும்போது எனக்கு அது ரொம்ப ஈஸியா தெரியுது.
The next step was collection and conservation of native seeds.
ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಆ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂಡ
We went to the remote villages and the tribal communities and collected the native seeds which they preserved for years together.
Native seeds are drought and pest reliant with high germination value, best suited for the soil and weather conditions of the area.
The main purpose of the native seed bank is to conserve and multiply and distribute to the farmers.
ಅನಿಸಾ ಕಂಪನಿಲಿ ಬಿತ್ತನೆ ಬೀಜವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಆಗಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಊಲಿ ಡಬ್ಬಿ ಹಾಕದೆ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಸಂಸಾರಕ್ಕ ಅಚ್ಚುಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅದ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ತಿಂತೀನಿ, ಯಾವ ನೋವು ಇಲ್ಲ, ನುಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಈಗ.
ನಮ್ ಬಿತ್ತನೆ ಬೀಜ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವ್ ಅದ ಹಾಕಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ತರಕಾರಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಬೇಕೋ ಏನೇನ ಅದ ನಾವಾಗ ಹಾಕಿ ನಾವ್ ಮನೆಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂತೀನಿ.
Being the foothill area, few patches of land were filled with boulders. Anisha prepared these plots for agriculture by digging and removing the stones from these plots. Anisha has lent support to farmers by providing plow for tilling the lands, construction of tanks to produce vermicompost, supply of sprayers to spray organic pesticides and growth nutrients to crops. As men work outside the area, women manage the household and children.
ಪರಿಕಲ್ಲೇ ಬಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ನಾನು ಕೂಲಿ ಗೀಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸಂಘ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಸಾಕೊಂಡು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಂದ್ರೆ 2 ತಿಂಗಳು 3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ
Loans were provided to the group with minimal interest. This interest adds up to the revolving fund.
From Anisha, we have given rupees 10,000 rupees for the self-help groups and for the farmers group as a revolving fund.
Women avail loan for purchase of cattle.
நான் அனிஷா சங்கத்துக்கு சேர்ந்து 5 பேர் சேர்ந்து நாங்க சேர்ந்து 10,000 காசு எடுத்து 5 பேர் எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம், ஆளுக்கு 2,000 எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம். அதுல 1,000 ரூபாய்க்கு குட்டி வாங்கினோம், 1,000 ரூபாய்க்கு பால் ஊற்றி வளர்த்தணும். நான் வளர்த்தி சுமார 4 குட்டி போட்டுச்சு, 2 குட்டி விற்றோம், 8,000 ரூபாய்க்கு விற்றுருக்குறோம். இன்னும் திருப்பியும் 4 குட்டி போட்டிருக்குது. நாங்க எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து வாங்கி மொத்தம் எனக்கு 40,000 ரூபாய்க்கு நான் ஆடு வச்சிருக்கிறேன். கூலிக்கு எடுத்துட்டு வரலாம், கூலிக்கும் போய்க்கிறேன், ஆடும் வச்சுக்கிறேன்.
Earn their livelihood by preparing papads for functions, collect medicinal herbs from the forest and extract oil that can be used to cure various ailments. The success is seen by the growth in revolving the funds from a mere 10,000 rupees to lakhs in each group.
பரவாயில்ல, எங்களுக்கு எவ்வளோ இப்போ நாங்கள் சங்கம் போகிறதுக்கும் நாங்கள் காசு கட்டுறோம். ஒரு கட்சின்னு இருந்தால் போய் கஷ்டமாக இருந்தால் கொஞ்சம் காசு எடுத்துக்கிறோம், பேக்கில் எடுத்துக்கிறோம். அதுக்கு நாங்கள் 100க்கு 2 வட்டி போட்டு கட்டிக்கிறோம்.
ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂಘ ಮಾಡ್ದಾನಂದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಆಯ್ತದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಚಂದಾಗದೆ.
The success is seen by the growth in revolving the funds from a mere 10,000 rupees to lakhs in each group.
Around 300 families are involved in kitchen garden. The main aim of introducing kitchen garden is to address the nutritional security of the landless families and the farmers' families.
ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಕನಕ ಗಿಡ ಹಾಕಿನಿ, ಬನ್ನಿ ಗಿಡ ಹಾಕಿನಿ, ಕೀಲಿ ಗಿಡ ಹಾಕಿನಿ, ಅಡ್ಲಿ ಗಿಡ ಹಾಕಿನಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿನಿ.
The kitchen garden helps the families to improve their health and also the hospital expenditure is reduced.
முன்ன வந்து தரகாரி வாரத்துக்கு வந்து 4 kg 5 kg வாங்குவோம். இப்ப வாங்கிருக்கோம் மாசம் வந்து அதே ஒரு 1000 1500 2000க்கு தரகாரி வந்து வாங்குறோம். இப்ப என்னன்னா நாங்க இருக்கிற தரகாரி நீ போட்டு நீ சாப்பிடு அப்படின்னா இப்ப அந்த 2000 ரூபாய் எங்களுக்கு மிச்சம்.
With the success of the kitchen garden, Anisha further extended the concept to the nearby schools. After the training from Anisha regarding kitchen garden, school children have grown vegetables using organic methods of farming at the school premises.
ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿನ ಒಂದು ಸೌಕರ್ಯ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಕಡಿಮೆ ನೀರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬೆಳೆಗಳನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸುವ ಒಂದು ವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ ಕಲಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ರು.
As the water scarcity is seen in the area, children voluntarily carry small amounts of water from their home and nourish the school kitchen garden. Once the school kitchen garden was a success, about 350 children have started kitchen garden at their respective homes. Creating environment consciousness and promoting organic farming to the younger generation is a commendable initiative. Farmers who could not afford to pay school fees and school dropouts have been supported by Anisha to pursue education.
ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಬಾಡೋರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕಟ್ಟುಕ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಫೀಜು ಬುಕ್ಕು ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಅನೀಸಾ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯವರೇ ಕಟ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರ.
ನಾನು ಸೆಂಟ್ ಫಿಲೋಮಿನಾಸ್ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, BSc ಬಯೋಟೆಕ್ ಓದ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಓದ ನಂತರ ನನಗೆ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಟ್ರಗಲ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಅನಿಶಾದಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Visiting and conducting trials for farmers was a hard task. Hence, farmers were invited to the resource center for orientation and practical training to teach methods in organic farming.
So in this process, we have several parts. One training component. In the training, we mainly concentrate on soil and water conservations and different methods of nutrient preparations, pesticide preparations, and compost making and all. We have constructed tanks for the preparations of leaf extract and also for the preparations of vermicompost. So during the seasons, all these tanks supports for the agricultural activities.
Cultivation on the rocky patches of the center using less water is done to show practical results. Bunds have been created on the rocky patches for soil and water conservation. With the use of solar energy like solar fence and lighting, renewable energy like biogas, natural oven, rainwater harvest, the center has gone the eco-friendly way.
ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಯೋಗಗಳು ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಹಂತಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅನಿಶಾ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಅದು ನಿಜವಾದ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ಮತ್ತು ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
At present, more than 200 farmers are working.
Organic farming is cultivated on 200 hectares of land in this area. Farmers have also stored native seeds for sowing purpose.
இப்போதான் அந்த விதையெல்லாம் தயார் பண்ணி நாங்களும் ஒன்றா சேர்த்துட்டு இருக்கிறோம். ಇದು ಕೆಂಪು ರಾಗಿ,
ಇದನ್ನ ಮೇಡಮ್ಮ ಕೊಟ್ಟದ್ದು, ಇದು ನಾನ್ ಬಿತ್ತನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿನಿ.
ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ನಾನು ಅದ ಊರವ್ರೆ ஆரிந்த காட்டவர் கொட்டை ஊரவர் கொட்டை பீக்கு வேற கொடலை வேற பூசணி வேற எல்லாமே இருக்குது.
Farmers prepare their own organic manure and pesticides.
இப்போ எல்லா விதைகளுமே நாங்களே தயார் பண்ணிக்கிறோம். இது எப்படி செய்யணும்ன்றத சில மருந்துகள்லாம் செஞ்சு கொடுத்தாங்க காட்டுக்கு. இது வேஸ்டேஜ் பழம், எல்லா பழமும் சரி. இது மாம்பழம், இது பலாப்பழம், திராட்சை, ஆப்பிள், வாழை, எந்த வேஸ்டேஜ் பழமா இருந்தாலும் சரி, இதுக்கு தண்ணி தான் யூஸ் பண்றோம், வேற எதுவும் யூஸ் பண்றதில்ல. ತೋಟಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ பண்றோம் அப்படின்னாಕ ಪೈರು ವಳರ್ಚಿಗಾಗ.
ಆದ್ರೆ ಮಳೆಯಾಶ್ರಿತ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆಗಳನ್ನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಬೆಳ್ಕೊಬಹುದು, ಭೂಮಿನ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೊಬಹುದು, ಪೀಡೆ ಮತ್ತು ರೋಗ ಬಂದಾಗ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕಗಳ ಬಳಕೆ ಇಲ್ದಿರ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಬೆಳೆ ರಕ್ಷಣೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣವಾದಂತ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಶಾ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಕಲ್ಪಿಸಿಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
We are happy with the work what we have achieved but not satisfied. To satisfy, we want to extend the work to other panchayats.
ಈ ನಾವೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುವುದಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಪಂಚನೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು.
Thank you, Zafira. Wonderful. Okay, so that gave us a very good picture of Anisha's work, a global overview of Anisha's work. So the next section is going to go more into, it overlaps a little with that video, but it's going to go more into specifically the school kitchen garden project, which has been one of the most recent projects of Anisha. Before we go on, does anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, I can't see anybody. Oh yeah, Marilyn. Okay, go ahead, Marilyn. Unmute yourself.
A comment. It was so exciting to see this review of the project. It was just wonderful. It's just, I get so excited about this work. I don't know. I just had to make a comment. It's wonderful to see. Yeah, and I'm just to zoom ahead. I'm sure you'll cover this, but with the COVID crisis that's come, I would imagine that the families who have the organic farming knowledge are in a much better place than those without. Can you comment on that, Valli or Rajan, on how, or you may be intending to do that later.
That is covered in the final part.
Great.
So maybe we'll come back to that at the end if you have it, like, because you'll hear Valli talking about that, and then if there's anything else that comes up, maybe we can discuss that right at the end.
Okay.
But thank you for your comment.
Great.
Yeah, it is very exciting, and it's a wonderful project. It's really lovely to see it. I know you've seen it firsthand, but it's nice to see it.
The work, yeah, wonderful.
Anybody else?
I would like to say one thing quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I first met Valli 20 years ago at a meeting when Ibu Rahayu came to Bangalore, and she did a presentation of her project, which at that time was this small slum in Bangalore. She did a presentation. Her media consisted of a couple of things on pieces of cardboard. And I was at that meeting. There were very few of us, and I just watched her presentation, and I saw this look in her eyes, and I said, this woman is going to do something big. And I think I was right. she has, and I hope that it can continue to grow. So.
Thank you, Hilal. Yes, I think you were right, definitely.
And thank you, Valli and Rajan.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so I think we'll go on. I mean, there will be more time to comment at the end or after the next section. So Zafira, could I ask you to put on the little video about the school kitchen garden project? As I said, there's a little bit of overlap. So at the beginning, it's going to talk about kind of the wider organic farming situation, but it's then going to talk more in detail about the kitchen gardens. Enjoy. Thank you, Zafira.
ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಗಿಡ ಹಾಕಿದೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಕಾಯಿಗಳು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಈ ತರ ಕೈತೋಟ ಮಾಡಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಕಳೆದ 3 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ತರಕಾರಿಗೆ ನಾವೇನು ದುಡ್ಡು ಗಿಡ ಏನು ಕೊಡುವಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾವೇ ಬೆಳೆದಕ್ಕೆ ದುಡ್ಡೆಲ್ಲ ಮಿಚ್ಚಾಯ್ತು. ನಾವು ಬೆಳೆದ ತರಕಾರಿ ನಾವು ತಿಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆರೋಗ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ
Behind this success, there are years of effort, struggle of numerous individuals, support of many sponsors, nature conservators, above all, an organization called Anisha. Anisha is situated amidst the serene beauty of the Male Mahadeshwara hills in the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu border. Though the region is a hilly terrain, rainfall in this district is very minimal.
ಸೊ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲಸದ ದುಃಖನೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿರೋಂಥ ಹಲವಾರು ಕಾರಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರಥಮವಾಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿರೋಂಥ ಒಂದು ಮಾಲ್ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಷನ್. ಸೊ ಈ ತುಳಸಿ ಕೆರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕುಂಬುಡ್ಕಿ, ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಿಂದುಳಿದ ಕಾಡಿನೊಳಗಿರುವಂತ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಓದಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಹತ್ರ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಏನೋ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ.
Due to the extensive use of pesticides, the yield of crop in the area declined, forcing the villagers to migrate in search of livelihood, which is when Team Anisha stepped in to the rescue of the villagers. From the past 22 years, Anisha, with a dedicated team, has been instrumental in creating awareness among the villagers about cultivation of land through natural farming, conserving the soil resources by use of organic pesticides and manure. Anisha also educated the farmers about the native seeds and its use, conservation of native seeds by imparting support, guidance, and assistance. Once the task of educating farmers was a huge success, Team Anisha extended its training program to the women folks of the farmer community by promoting kitchen garden to support the family. As expected, even the kitchen garden project was a huge success.
2013 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೊಂದು ಪೈಲಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಕಿಚನ್ ಗಾರ್ಡನ್ ಅಂತ.
The next step from Anisha was to involve children of the farmers into agriculture activities. Hence, the project school garden was pursued. Though initially children were hesitant, constant training and guidance from the members of Anisha and the curiosity in the children's mind prompted them to involve in the program, which was a grand success.
ಸೊ ನಾವು ಮಾಟಳ್ಳಿ ಪಂಚಾಯತಿ 16 ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಬಂತು. ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಹೋಗಿ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ. ಸಾವಯವ ಕೈತೋಟ ಮಾಡೋ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೂಡ ಆ ಸಣ್ಣ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ತೋಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಡೆಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ.
ಸೊ ನಮ್ ಮಾನವನಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನಾಂಶಗಳು ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅನ್ನಾಂಶಗಳು ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ವಿಟಮಿನ್ ಎ, ಬಿ, ಸಿ, ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಷಿಯಂ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ದೇಹಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕು. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಂಶಗಳು ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಕು.
ಯಾವಾಗ ಪೋಷಕಾಂಶಗಳು ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ ಕೊರತೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಆವಾಗ ಒಂದೊಂದ್ ತರದ ರೋಗಗಳು ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಆರೋಗ್ಯವನ್ನ ಕಾಪಾಡೋದು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಾತ್ಯಕ್ಷಿಕೆ ಮೂಲಕ ಆ ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ವಿ.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂಲ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಇಂದಿನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಪರಿಸರದಿಂದ ತುಂಬಾ ದೂರ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋಂಥ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪರಿಸರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಒಗ್ಗೂಡ್ಸೋದು ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ದೆಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ನೇಚರ್.
ಸುಮಾರು 4 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ 2016ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕಿಚನ್ ಗಾರ್ಡನ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಆಸಕ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅನಿಶಾ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಿ
ಅನೇಕ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ರು.
ಬೀಜಗಳನ್ನ ಬಿತ್ತುವುದು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮತ್ತು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗುವಂತಹ ನೀರು ಸರಬರಾಜು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡೋದು,
ಆ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಉತ್ತಮವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ರು.
ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಶಾಲೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಶಾಲೆ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಮೇಷ್ಟ್ರುಗಳು ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ತೋಟ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬಂದು ಅಗಿಯೋದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಖುಷಿ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು.
ಕೇವಲ ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರವಲ್ಲದೆ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಸಹ ಮಕ್ಕಳು
ಕೈತೋಟ ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದನ್ನ ನೋಡಿ ನನಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟವಾಯ್ತು, ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕೆಂಬ ಆಸೆ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಅನೀಸಾ ಕಂಪ್ನಿಯಿಂದ ಬೀಜಗಳು ಕೊಟ್ರು. ಆದ್ರೂ ಬೀಜ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸರ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ರು ಬೀಜಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಹಂಗಂತೇಳಿ.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ಗೂ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು ನಾನ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಅದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಮನೇಲಿ ಬಂದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಜೊತೆ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ
ಮನೆಯವ್ರು ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು.
ನಮ್ಮ ಅಜ್ಜಿ ನಮ್ ತಾತನ ಸಹಾಯ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ದೆ.
பள்ளிக்கூடத்துல வந்து கொடுத்த இது இப்போ வேற வந்து எங்க பிள்ளை தான் எல்லாமே இந்த தோட்ட தண்ணியெல்லாம் விட்டு அதை எரு வச்சு எல்லா செடியும் வச்சு நல்லா காய் வந்துருக்குது. எங்களுக்கு வந்து நல்லா எங்களுக்கு ஐடியா தெரியும். அந்த பொண்ணு தான் ஸ்கூல்ல அதை போட்டு அதே பண்ணி
ಇವಾಗ ತೋಟ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ. ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ತರಕಾರಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ತರಕಾರಿನೂ ನಾನೇ ಬೆಳೆಯಕ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ದೆ.
ಇತ್ತ ನಮ್ದು ತೋಟ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿತ್ತ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಗಿಡ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು.
ಕೀರೆ ಗಿಡ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟೊಮೊಟೊ, ಬದನೆಕಾಯಿ,
ಸ್ವಾರೆ, ಕುಂಬ್ಳೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೆಂಡೆಕಾಯಿ
ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೀನ್ಸು, ಹೀರೆಕಾಯಿ, ಕುಂಬಳಕಾಯಿ, ತುಪ್ಪದೀರೆ. ನಾವು ತುಪ್ಪದೀರೆನೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಬೆಳಿತಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೇನಾದ್ರೂ ರೋಗ ಬಿದ್ದಿದಾಗ ಅರಿಶಿನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೊಲೆ ಬೂದಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಸರಿ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹಸು ಗಂಜಲಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರ್ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಸರಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಿತ್ತು.
ಈ ಕೀಟನಾಶಕಗಳನ್ನ ವಿರೋಧಿಸಿ ಅದರ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಪರಿಣಾಮಗಳನ್ನ ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸಿ ಇಡೀ ಜೀವಜಾಲನ ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳದೆ ಇರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಉತ್ತಮ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆನೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ನಾವು ಸ್ಥಳ ಸಿದ್ಧತೆ ಮಾಡ್ದಾಗಿಂದನು ಬುಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದ್ ಯಾವ ಡೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದ ಮತ್ತೆ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಯಾವಾಗ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದ್ ಯಾವ ಡೇಟ್ಲಿ ಮೊಳಕೆ ಹೊಡಿತು, ಅದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಆಯ್ತು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಸ್ಯ ಆಯ್ತು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಹೂವು ಕಾಯಿ ಹಣ್ಣಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತಾನು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ಕೋತಿದ್ವಿ.
ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಆಹಾರ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಂತ ಆಹಾರ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ತರಕಾರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು.
ನಮ್ಗೆ ನಾಟಿ ತರಕಾರಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡ್ ತರಕಾರಿಗಳು ನಡುವೆ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸನೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಅಂಗಡಿಯಿಂದ ತರಕಾರಿ ತಂದು ತಿಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ ತೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆಯೋ ತರಕಾರಿಗಿಂತ ಟೇಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
ನಾನೇ ಹಾಕಿ ನಾನೇ ತಿಂದಂತ ತುಂಬಾ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿದೆ.
ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ನೋಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ ತರಕಾರಿ ಅಂತ.
ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ತೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದೇ ನಾವು ತಿನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಖುಷಿ.
நல்ல பாவக்காய் ஒரு 5 கிலோ காய்ச்சி, பீக்கங்காய் ஒரு 5-8 கிலோ காய்ச்சி, சொரக்காய் ஒரு 5 கிலோ காய்ச்சி, வெண்டைக்காய் ஒரு 3 கேஜி காய்ச்சிருக்குது. இது கொடுத்த எல்லாமே தோட்ட வேற நல்லா அருமையாக முளைச்சி எங்களுக்கு சாப்பாட்டுக்கு எந்த குறை இல்லாத செடிக்கு எங்களுக்கு அன்னன்னைக்கு சாப்பிட்டுக்கு காய் நல்லா கிடைச்சிருக்குது.
ಅಮ್ಮ ನಾವು ಅದು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದ್ ಪೆನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಬುಕ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕಾಸು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ತರಕಾರಿಗಳು ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಸಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಬೈತಿದ್ರು. ನಾವು ತರಕಾರಿ ಗಿಡಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳ್ದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ
ನಾವು ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ತರಕಾರಿ ತರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹಣಕಾಸು ತುಂಬಾನೇ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಇದೇ ತರಕಾರಿ ಮಾರ್ತೀವಿ, ಇದೇ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ.
ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕನ್ಗೆ காலேஜ்க்கு ஃபீஸ் கட்டுதா.
நீங்க கொடுக்கங்காட்டி பரவாயில்ல, எங்க பிள்ளைங்க தோட்டம் அருமையா நல்லா பண்ணி வச்சுக்குது, எங்களுக்கு காசு நல்லா மிச்சம்.
ಈಗ ತರಕಾರಿ ಗಿರ್ಕಾರಿ ತೆಗುದಲ್ಲ ತೆಗಿದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳುಗಳನ್ನ ಟೂರ್ ಕಳ್ಸಿರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೂರ್ ಕಳ್ಸಬೇಕು, ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಬರಿ ತಕ್ಕೊಟ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ತಕ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವೆ.
ಕೈತೋಟನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಅದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರೈಸು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀನಿ.
ಕೈತೋಟ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಬರೀ ತರಕಾರಿ ಕೊಡೋದಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ನೆಮ್ಮದಿ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ಅದನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಕೂಡ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ತರಕಾರಿ ತರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ 15ರಿಂದ 20 kg ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತರಕಾರಿಗಳನ್ನ ತಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಈ ಅನಿಶಾ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಒಂದು 15 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವರ ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನ್ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತರ ದಿಕ್ಕು ದೆಸೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ತಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ತರ ಸಾಕಿರುವಾಗ ತುಂಬಾ ಗಮನಾರ್ಹವಾದ ಒಂದು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಕ್ಕೆ ತೊಡಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ನಾನಾ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶಾಲಾ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವವನ್ನು ಬೀರಿದೆ.
ಶಾಲಾ ಕೈತೋಟ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ವಿಕಾಸ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂಥರ ತುಂಬಾ ಸಿದ್ಧ ಔಷಧ.
ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತರಕಾರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಬೆಳೆಸುವಂತಹ ಅನೇಕ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟು
ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲಾ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಇದು ಅವರ ಪೋಷಕರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಅನೇಕ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಸಂತೋಷವನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ ತೋಟ ಸ್ವಂತ ತೋಟ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ತರಕಾರಿ ಬೆಳಿತೀವಿ. ಹೇಗಾಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕುಟುಂಬದಲ್ಲಿ ರೈತರಿಗೂ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ, ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಹೆಂಗಸರಿಗೂ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಕೊನೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು, ನಾವು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ.
ಸೊ ಇದು ಮಕ್ಕಳ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗಳ ಪ್ರೇರೇಪಣೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗಳ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಬರೀ ಒಂದು ಕುಟುಂಬಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 100 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 100 ಕುಟುಂಬಗಳು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. 100 ಕುಟುಂಬಗಳ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಯವರು ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ವಹಿಸಿ ಆ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರೋರ ಹತ್ರ ಬಿತ್ತನೆ ಬೀಜ ತಗೊಂಡು ತರಕಾರಿ ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಡೀ ಕುಟುಂಬದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಈ ಸಾವಯವ ಕೃಷಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಬ್ರು ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವರ ಹೊಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಸಣ್ಣ ಕೈತೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಆದ್ರೂ ಬೆಳೀತಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
ಕೈತೋಟನೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯೋಗಾಲಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಳಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಪಠ್ಯವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರ ಜೊತೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಡಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ.
ಸೊ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ನಾವು ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಮಕ್ಕಳಾಗಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಇಡೀ ಸಮುದಾಯ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗಿ ಆಹಾರ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂಲ ಉದ್ದೇಶ.
As a result, the target of educating an entire community in the district is the achievement of Anisha for the past 22 years and still going steady.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm just watching that again and seeing how many amazing benefits this project has. I mean, it's not only about vegetables, is it? I mean, it's not only about improving the nutrition of the children and their families, but it's also that frees up income for other things, so they can, you know, get school materials and clothes, etc. And it spreads the news about organic farming, and it also Valli said something interesting in that film about the peace and solace about being in a garden. So it's all about, you know, improving your mental health because you're in contact with nature. So there's just so much going on there, and I just think it's amazing. And that's even before we get onto what Marilyn was touching on about what happened in the pandemic and how these families were able to sustain themselves with these the vegetables that they grew in their gardens. So yeah, amazing project. We have one last part, which is touching on like kind of more recent events, and as we said, you know, what happened during the pandemic, the activities that Anisha carried out. If anybody would like to make any comments or questions before we go on to this last section, please raise your hands. Marilyn, go ahead. You're muted, Marilyn.
I just have to say that I visited the project several times, but to see this program where you see it all brought together and you see what just a few people have been able to do to change this whole area, it's remarkable. And again, it gives me such hope that it just is just so hopeful. And in this area, there is not a lot of, this is just so unique to this area, what Anisha is doing there. It's so incredibly valuable that it's just so inspiring. Anyway, thank you for letting me say this again, but it's just so marvelous to see it just recap this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn, for your comments. Okay, well, I don't see any more hands up. So again, we will, you know, we have one more section and then we will have as much time as you want to ask questions. Well, not as much time as you want, but we'll have a few minutes. We can run over a little bit if anybody else has questions or comments. But for now, we'll go on to the final section about more recent events.
The activities has increased in pandemic also. Organic farming to kitchen garden, again it went for medical help and again COVID relief. So a lot of things has happened. So as you know, Anisha is working on organic farming since 2006 in one panchayat, around 21 villages. So from 2016 onwards, we started working with the children on kitchen garden project. So in 23 schools we were working. So from 2016 to 2020, we worked. But actually at the end of the project, we could not work. What happened during that time, the COVID has started. So all our field activities has stopped because like, you know, like everyone was very afraid and we could not go and meet the people. So we worked at our resource center. Even though we didn't go to the field, like some students, they have phone at home. And we used to contact over phone and give advice, like what are the things they have to do for home gardening and also like extensions of their gardens and increase more varieties in their gardens. Because during that time, during the pandemic, all the shops were closed and nothing was available. Whatever they had at home, they have to depend on that only. So basically the kitchen garden and organic farming, these two issues were supported, played a major role during pandemic. Because even the farmers who were doing organic farming, they never depend on shops for fertilizers or for seeds or for pesticides. Because everything they have their own and they also prepare. So they were not worried. Same happens for the kitchen gardener also. Even if the shops are closed, they're not worried for vegetables because they produce in their home gardens. And also we find the students have extended the garden in a small initially they were doing in small portions. And during the pandemic, they extended more and started growing more varieties because the parents, their fathers who went out and working, they all came back to the village. So they also supported the students to increase the garden. So, and one parents told how the kitchen garden has helped their family, because all these years, since 4 years, they were doing the garden, but they never thought the kitchen garden was very useful. Somehow, okay, it's helping the family. In that way, they were thinking. But during the pandemic, the real importance of the home garden, they realized. They told without home garden, we could not have, like, we could not make any like sambar, which we use for regularly in our food, like dal, lentils, greens, vegetables, everything. So they were telling we didn't have work, no income, and nothing. So without nothing, we were getting some vegetables from the garden. So it was really help the families, that too small and marginal farmers. And also the students started giving seeds for the new students, for the neighbors, and the seed was spreading like that. So during pandemic, even our office was closed. We used to keep open because the nearby farmers, they used to come, students used to come and collect seeds. So like everyone was staying at home and they don't know there was no work. So they want to engage in home garden. So that's how it was increasing. The home gardeners were increasing. And also in the initial stage of the pandemic, like when we immediately stopped all our field activities, we were just thinking what we are going to do. Because every day, like one by one, the cases was increasing, and we were worried like how we are going to address this issue. So suddenly, like we thought, okay, with whatever small funding we had at Anisha, so we thought, okay, for the COVID patient families, we can support. Because when everyone is staying at home, really it's a big problem for them to run the families. Because in one house, more than 12 people, 10, like that, the number of members were more. So they could not manage, and along with that, COVID patient also. So in that way, we identified the patients and started helping with them. Because with the small funds, we could not help the village people, because everyone are in the same situations. So we identified, our field activists identified, okay, this particular family really needs support. So in that way, we identified and we started giving some relief work. And somehow immediately when I send an appeal to all our Subud brothers and sisters, Sushla Dhamma, so we got support and we could able to support more than 3,000 plus families in 21 villages. And even this year also, we supported for more than 1,700 families. So still we are identifying really need people and we are giving the relief work.
சரி அங்க அந்த இடத்துல நிக்கணும் அப்படியே ஐயர் இரு போட அப்போ சாமி வண்டி போய் பின்னாடி விடு ஒரு நிமிஷம்
Now, since 2 months, the COVID cases are very less in our region. So people started working. They are managing with like whatever income they are getting. So in that way, the situation is better at present. And also the medical support was the big problem for the poor families, because once they got the COVID, they could not go to the private hospitals because the expenses are more. And in the government hospitals, there was no bed. And to reach the hospital itself, it takes minimum 3 hours to get proper facilities. So in that way, like, I think in March, actually, before COVID, we purchased the ambulance, because in our region, there is no ambulance service for emergency. So we thought, okay, we need ambulance service, because many young people were suffering from heart disease, like heart attack. So we thought, okay, that if we have an ambulance, so we can save like a few lives. So thinking that, we purchased an ambulance. But when the ambulance came for the real service, from day one, it started supporting, shifting all COVID patients. So from the village to the district hospitals or to different places, and also like to the quarantine centers. So every day, like many cases were going up and down. So initially we thought of hiring a driver, like part-time driver for the ambulance. But like many cases started coming, none of the drivers came forward to drive the vehicle. So again, we were facing some trouble. Then like everyone knows Rajan, so my husband, so he told, okay, I will drive the ambulance. So for 3-4 months continuously, he was shifting the patients to hospital or quarantine center, wherever. So in that way, actually with the ambulance service was very useful to this region. So still today, people are utilizing it, and we are charging minimum cost. And for few patients who could not afford, for them we do free services, and free medical support also we are providing. So all these things are going combinedly. So now we are planning, recently also we organized environmental camp for the students. So after 1.5 years, this is the first camp we organized at Anisha Center. So more than 50 students participated. So it went very well. So basically, whatever the work we are doing, like organic farming or kitchen garden or medical support, everything is very useful for this region people. Ambulance, we are going to keep it. Actually, this region needs the ambulance service. There is no ambulance service. For any emergency, the ambulance has to come from the taluk headquarters, nearly 2 hours. It will take 2 hours to reach the place. So in that way, again, like up and down itself takes 4 hours to reach the hospital. So in that case, the ambulance is very, very useful for this region. So we are going to continue to keep the ambulance and give services for the people. The school started 1 month back, and from Monday onwards, they are functioning full-time schools. So before that, we were contacting the students over phone, because in some students, they have small phone. So they don't have Android phone and all, with small phones, and we could able to contact through their parents and talk to the students, and we'll check how the garden is going on and how safe they have to live. Everything we used to talk to the students. Actually, the pandemic made very close relationship between the students and us. Earlier, we were visiting the farm, visiting their home gardens, and we talk to their parents. Like only mother will be at home because the father migrates to other places for work. So in that way, and once in a while we meet the students at the school. But in the pandemic only, like regular contact we had with the students. So even today the students calls and then if anything they want doubt or anything, they check with us. And if they also check any new seats has come and we have saved some seats. So a lot of conversations are taking place. Very close relationship has built the pandemic. Actually, we didn't take new projects, but the COVID relief was a short-term project. So that is not going to continue. Okay. And the medical will continue. Because medical, we are not in a position to give free service for everyone. So we have differentiated, like some patients who could afford for the transportation, like for the fuel cost, they are paying us. And some patients, nothing, they couldn't afford. So for them, we give free services and also some medical help for them. So in that way, medical will continue in a small way. Okay. And COVID is just a short-term relief work. So that is going to stop. Once the pandemic stops, we are not going to continue that. The kitchen garden will continue and organic farming, these two projects will continue. Because we planned in 2020, we planned to extend the kitchen garden project to other schools, like other neighboring panchayats. So that was stopped due to pandemic. So we are planning to do, if maybe we have to see next year how it goes. So from next year, we'll again continue that project.
Thank you again, Zafira. And for actually carrying out that interview with Valli and putting together that little video. Lovely, thank you. Right, well, that was what we had to present to you. And now I'd be very interested to hear any questions that any of you have for Valli and Rajan. Any questions or any comments, encouragements, suggestions? Please put your hands up if you have a question.
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Hi. I just want to say thank you so much. I had heard a lot about Anisha over the years as I was involved with Susila Dharma, but seeing the things, seeing these films is so much more powerful. And I feel so appreciative of what you're doing. I guess I have a question as I think about the changes that may be coming with global warming, and have heard about the concerns, particularly for India, about lack of rains and lack of water. And I'm wondering if the planning for the future is taking this kind of thing into consideration.
Good question, Valli. Would you like to come back on that, about how you're maybe preparing for global warming and climatic changes that might be happening already, I guess, in your area, or that you think might happen?
Yeah, we have impacts of climate change also. Like we are getting rain, but in time rain is a problem. Like after sowing, we won't get rain. And during harvesting time, we'll get heavy rain. So whatever yield has to reach home, that doesn't come. So this year we have good rain. So we have to see what happens like another 2 months. So every year there is a problem. Water issue is a big problem because our area, our region is a rain shadow. So very less rain comes. So it's a problem only. But
yeah. So recently we are met all the government department like forest and revenue department to talking about this climate change. The forest department came forward to so some extent planting more trees and things. So we are initiating that dialogue with the government department about these climate changes issues. So, and also we are also promoting some planting trees and reducing plastics and something like that. During pandemic time, we had good relationship with this all the government departments, especially the forest department, because we are fully covered. We are in the forest only, so many tourist people are coming and they are using lots of plastics and other things. So we are dialogue with this department and the tourism department also. So in future, we are planning to do all this environmental issue, taking of environmental issues.
Thank you, Rajan and Valli. Does that answer your question, Suzanne?
Yes, yes. I was just been so impressed. And just to say a word too, I lived in India in the 60s. My parents were very interested in agriculture, and at the time there were many famines, and it was that time of the Green Revolution. Yes. And my parents had worked for the Department of Agriculture in the United States, and were very interested particularly in soil management, and went around all over India talking with farmers about soil management. I wish they were alive to see this film, because they would be so happy and proud of what you're doing. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a comment from Cindy who says, what really inspired me, the school children forming part of food security plan and reducing the dropout rate. Thank you, Cindy, for that comment. Has anybody else got any comments or questions for Valli and Rajan? Make the most of this opportunity, because you don't have them sitting in front of you every day. Does that mean that we did such a good job at presenting that we covered everything that everybody wants to know? Yeah, Michelle.
Hello.
Sorry, I can't always see everybody's hands up because I can't see everybody at the same time.
Good. Right. First of all, just thank you so much for the very integrated way that you're able to do your project, to look at the root sources and then try to figure out what you need to do within your cultural context to address those issues. It's very inspiring. I'm working here in an area of Ecuador, which is very similar, that has a lot of similar characteristics like you have. This was an area that only, I think, about 70 years ago was forested. It is now almost a desert. And that children are eating junk food is also part of the project. But the people still know how to farm, at least because most of these people don't have extensions and don't have flat land. They've never gone into the conventional way of using agrotoxicos, of using chemical fertilizers. So at least, we don't have to convince them about organics, which is something we've got going for us. But more than anything, I was really interested in the role that you place among children. And you've inspired me. We're going to see what we can do with the schools that are closest to us. Well, I say that. I think my team will agree. So thank you so much. And I guess the other comment I had is I saw that at least during one part of Anisha, that it was supported by Germany. What is the sustainability of your project if the Germans weren't around? Do you have a way of that built into your project? Economic sustainability of what you're doing.
Certain model of your.
Actually, we have a resource center. We have some land where we do cultivation and also some seed production. And we have some accommodations for guests. So these are the two forms of sustainability. But every year we are getting very less yield from
Exactly.
because of water. We don't have water. Everything we are growing in rain fed at the resource center. So whatever goes for seeds leftover is we are selling it. And in accommodation also not much income we are getting. So sustainability is a big problem, but we are just managing, and we want to show it as a good model in future.
Wonderful. It certainly is a wonderful model. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Michelle, if I understood correctly, you have just literally just now been inspired to have the idea of involving children and family. Yeah,
to involve children. I've always involved mothers who are the cooks, but of course to have it coming from the children is fantastic.
Well, that's wonderful.
Keeps it going longer.
This is what we want, people to inspire each other. Fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? I see Oliver.
Oliver.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oliver from Argentina. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Valli.
Yes.
I would like to know about the Subu group. How does it work there? And if other sub members participate in the project?
No,
the local group.
we have a team. So like staffs are there. Because of internet connection, I came out of office. So in our center, we don't have proper internet connection. So that's why we came out. Actually, we have a team of members. Like one person is in charge of seed bank.
You have a sub.
He's asking you about your Subud group, Valli.
Yeah, Subud group, like actually myself and Rajan, we are in Subud. We are isolated members. So from Bangalore, it's a 4 hours journey, and to Tamil Nadu, it's another 3 hours journey. So we are like earlier we used to go to Tamil Nadu to do group Latihan, and now like we are doing on our own. So regularly we are not meeting other people because of pandemic, and also we are living far away from the city. So in our place, only we 2 of them are there. And sometimes some of our Subud members come to our place. So during that time, we'll do Latihan, otherwise we do on our own.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question, Oliver. I see Marilyn has her hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I don't want to embarrass Deepak, and I do apologize. I had forgotten your son's name. Deepak, I'm wondering, you've been there.
Deepak is their son's name, and Rajan is Valli's husband.
Yes, Deepak is son of Valli and Rajan.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification, Solon.
Okay, it's okay.
Deepak, I'm wondering how you see Anisha. You've seen it from the beginning. How do you see what's going on there with your parents? And I'm curious how you relate to all of this, and if you see, what do you have, are you inspired by this work?
Yeah.
Yes, I inspired.
Yes.
I cannot hear.
Yeah, I'm inspired by my parents.
Maybe in our absence, he will talk.
Do you like gardening, Deepak? Do you like gardening?
Yeah, I like gardening.
Oh, good. You like growing
Great.
vegetables?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Actually, he's also spreading native seeds. He's also spreading native seeds to his friends. He came and friends wants brinjal seeds.
Great.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay, anybody else? We could have a final question, comment before we wrap up, because we have actually come to the end of our time. But if anybody would like to say anything else, please go ahead. Last chance.
Thank you all, Anita.
Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you especially to those who had to get up really early, because I know in the Americas it's quite early. A special thanks to our interpreters, especially Miranda, who I think it's like 7:30. Well, I think the meeting started at 6:30 her time, so it's only 8 a.m. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you, obviously, Valli. Thank you, Rajan and Deepak, for being with us. Have you got anything else to say before we end?
Yeah, I would like to say thank you to all, because I was so excited to see all of our friends. So thank you very much for all your support. Like whatever work we are doing, it's all happened because of you all. So we are very happy.
Yeah.
Otherwise we didn't do.
Yeah, thank you to all the supporters, and thank you for all of you who don't know the project so well and have come to find out about it. And hopefully you will carry on being interested in following this amazing project. Again, thank you to Zafira for helping me put this together. And nice to see everybody.
So thank you, Valli. Thank you, Rajan.
Hi, Lawrence.
Lawrence.
How are you?
Thank you.
So excited to see you.
Oh, Victor.
Yeah.
So really, I'm so happy to see Lawrence and Victor after so many years, after 2018. Huh? I think you forgot Anisha, Lawrence.
Yeah. I hope I can come again sometime.
Yeah.
It's lovely that things are going so well.
Yes.
Without your support, really we couldn't start the rural project. And suddenly.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Valli, and the good project.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody. I will end the meeting now. Sending you all lots of love, and have a great end of weekend, the rest of your weekend. Enjoy it. Thanks, Valli and Rajan and Deepak especially. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.